Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Denver, Colorado, and you're watching All Up in Your Business. On this episode of All Up in Your Business, we're going to play a fun new game I like to call Is It Deductible? Just kidding, I haven't really found out a way to work this into an actual game yet, but I do kind of plan on making it a thing where I talk about different items and business expenses that may or may not be deductible. So if you've got other things besides what I'm talking about in this video that you want me to explain whether you can deduct them from your business, go ahead and comment below, and who knows, maybe it will be a game. But first, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and be sure to check the description for links to additional information and resources and some free downloadable guides and all kinds of fun stuff too. All right, so let's get into it. Is it deductible? Specifically, business-related education expenses like books, magazines, webinars, online classes, conferences, trainings, things like this. Are they deductible business expenses? Spoiler alert, the answer is going to be yes, but the real answer is yes, kind of, sometimes, it depends. That's really my answer to everything is yeah, maybe, it depends. But so, yes, most education-related business expenses are deductible business expenses. Generally speaking, for self-employed individuals, we can deduct any business expense that's ordinary and necessary for our business. When it comes to educational expenses, they go a little bit further and say it's ordinary and necessary if the expense or the education, whatever the thing is that you're trying to deduct, if that is either legally required for your trade or your business, or if there's some regulation that requires that education or that training, then it's deductible. Or if it helps to improve or maintain your skills for your current trade or business. So let me say that again. Self-employed people can deduct education-related expenses if it helps to improve or maintain skills that might be required for your business, or if it's legally required for you to maintain your license or continue in your profession. For example, us lawyers in most states have continuing legal education requirements. In order to keep our legal licenses and the ability to practice law, we have to take a certain amount of CLEs, continuing legal education, every year. And this usually involves paying a lot of money to go to conferences or now online conferences or trainings and all of that. And we have to do this in order to keep our license. So thankfully for us, those expenses and related expenses are going to be deductible for us. But of course, this doesn't just apply to lawyers. It applies to all businesses and all self-employed people. So other situations where this commonly comes up is like with buying books. If you need reference materials in order to do your job, or if you want to improve a skill in your current business, or if you need to buy a book to improve or maintain the status of your business, then most of the time it's going to be a deductible business expense. Same things with online trainings or online courses, in-person trainings and courses, workshops, webinars, conferences, any kind of training or educational, thing that you attend. Those are all deductible. Magazine subscriptions or online publication subscriptions, as long as they're, related to your business and they help to maintain or improve your business or your skills, then again, those are all going to be included in these deductible business expenses. It also includes things related to that. So again, if you're attending a conference, if you're actually physically going to a training or a conference, again, that registration, whatever you pay to attend, is deductible. But also the mileage to and from the conference is going to be deductible in a lot of situations too, as will any other kind of lodging expenses. If it's multiple days and you have to pay to stay at a hotel, that's going to be deductible. In a lot of cases, your meal expenses are deductible to an extent, not fully. But a lot of these related expenses, or if you have to buy materials or like a textbook or some other kind of materials in order to do a workshop or a training, those expenses are going to be deductible as well. So when we're going back and talking about what helps to maintain or improve our skills in our business, what that means is that this doesn't include new skills or developing new things. So let's say you want to get into a brand new industry, or you want to start a business in an industry or a field that you know very little about. The education that goes into learning that new skill or that new thing in most cases isn't going to be deductible. That doesn't mean those expenses may not be deductible, or you might not get a credit for them in other situations. I'm just speaking specifically as deductible business expenses. Those won't be included. Why do we care about this? Why do we want to know if something's deductible or not? Well, of course, business deductions help us to limit or reduce how much we have to pay in taxes, including, self-employment taxes and just general our income taxes as well. If we have a $100,000 income from our business and $50,000 in deductible business expenses, that $50,000 deduction is deducted from the income and makes our taxable income $50,000. So we want to, take good care to take the appropriate deductions that we can, because we typically want to make our taxable income as low as possible so we don't pay a whole lot in taxes. Of course, this depends on your situation. Sometimes there are cases where we don't want to take all of the deductions, or we don't want to deduct everything because we might want our income to appear high. But again, I'm not talking about those situations. I'm just talking generally. Business-related education expenses are deductible as long as they help to improve or maintain skills required for your current trade or business. How you actually take these deductions, how you actually report them, that's going to depend on how your business is set up, how it's taxed. If you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC taxed as a sole proprietor, then you'll report these expenses on Schedule C, along with your profit and losses with your personal income tax return. Schedule C is where you report those expenses. If you're taxed as a C or an S corporation, then they would be deductions on Form 1120 or 1120S if you're an S corp. But so it again depends a little bit on how the business is structured, but ultimately in the end, it is a deductible expense regardless. The IRS has a really handy tool available on their website that kind of walks you through figuring out if an education-related expense is going to be deductible. I'm going to link to that in the description in case you guys want to check it out, but that can be pretty helpful as well if you're still unsure. And in any situation when we're dealing with taxes and the IRS, the big number one important thing that we need to do is make sure we're keeping really good record of these expenses, just in case the IRS ever comes knocking and needs proof that these did actually qualify for the deductions that we took them on. So, of course, that involves keeping receipts for the actual expenses. So if you register for a class or register for a course, keeping that receipt. If you bought a book, keep that receipt. But also keeping any other pertinent details that would help to prove that this was a legitimate business expense and qualified for the deduction. So if it is an online course or some kind of training, perhaps holding on to the course description or some of the course materials so you can later on demonstrate how this did help to improve or maintain your current skills or whatever the situation is. And the general rule of thumb is to hold on to these receipts and stuff for like 3 years after you file your taxes for that year. So to summarize, Self-employed people can take a deduction for education-related expenses such as online courses, trainings, books, magazines, other things like that, as long as it is either legally required in order for you to continue on in your profession, or if it somehow helps to improve or maintain the skills currently needed for your trade or your business. It's always a great idea to work with a tax professional when you're dealing with anything tax related, because they're going to know a lot more of the specifics, a lot more than just the general internet does, and they're going to be able to tell you how the IRS guidelines and rules actually apply to you in your specific situation. So if you're unsure of whether an expense is deductible or whether something should be a business expense or whatever the case may be, I strongly urge you to work closely with a tax professional or a tax accountant, CPA, whoever it is. Get the advice and the assistance that you need. That's all for this episode, folks. Drop a comment below, let me know what you think, and if you liked playing Is It Deductible, then comment and let me know what else you guys are interested in learning if it's deductible. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.